Great. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Data Stack Summit. I'm Sunny. Super happy today to share you all our journey on optimization data stack performance here at Maisonette. So who is Maisonette? We are kids marketplace. We bring happiness to millions of family. We provide curated high quality products for anything your kids needs, from clothes, toys, gear to home decor. And also we provide trusted guidance and inspiration with all those content to help you on your journey of parenting. So who am I? I joined the data team. I'm the first data person at Maisonette. So I joined the company about a year ago. The first initial months is being setting up the data stack, make sure set up the foundational data models for the business, and being working hard, building up a team in the last 7 months. So now my team grew up from a team of 1 to a team of 10, including contracting resources. And we provide analytics engineer, analytics, data science functionality across Maisonette's pillar to really help bring insights to the business and moving forward. So let's dig in. Let's talk about what are we going to talk about today. So first thing first, we're going to talk about our data stack, what we've been using and why we choose them. Then we're going to talk about why we need optimization, which is a no-brainer question. I hope you are all here because you know exactly how important it is to optimization, optimize our data stack and what we've been doing, how we, what we did, how we identify those areas to optimize and what we've been achieved. We as a data person, we want to measure everything. So to be honest of ourselves on our progress there. And last but not least, optimization usually is a lot of hard work behind the scene and will not have really direct impact to the end data consumer, but it's so important to let them understand why this is important and to be transparent on our impact and efforts there. So let's get started. Let's talk about our data stack. For any team, disregarding your business size, I feel for any data team, there's always core component for your data stack. And also there's a lot of additional component, depends on the problem you try to solve, the priority for your team and the budget. So let's talk about the core area for every data stack is always come from this 4 area. What is your data lake? What is your data connectors? What is your data transformation tool? And what is your business intelligence platform? So for us, our data stack is Snowflake, Fivetran, DBT, and Looker, which I will share more details in a little bit. And then there's also additional stack, which is orchestration tool like Airflow, and data logs is like a documentary of all the data documentation to really provide the transparency and the visibility of all the data you have in your organization. And last but not least is those data observability tools like Monte Carlo is a top players in this area. So for Maisonette, what is our core data stack? Because our team is relatively new and we grow very fast. So it's important we pick the right stack for the core part and gradually expanding to those additional area to empower the data team, maximize the value to the business. So our core data stack is this, as I previously briefly mentions. From my perspective, Snowflake and DBT combination is really magical and powerful. But for Fivetran and also Looker, you can be creative. It really depends on your budget, the goal you try to achieve. There's many alternatives in those space. And on top of those core data stack, we also have reverse ETL, which is really help maximize the impact of data, which is sending the source of truth of those data you defined in Snowflake and DB2 to any other business destination without many engineer efforts to really maximize the data efforts there. Because most of the time, People don't want another dashboard. People actually needs your data in another system to optimize the business performance there. So here I want to touch upon a little bit more on, the combination of Snowflake and dbt. I highly recommend those two to any of you if you haven't tried in your data stack, because those two combination can really help optimize your resources and cost. It can have you provide unified security and governance, hugely improve your data quality, trust, and collaboration, the productivity within your data team. And last but not least, this two platform has massive, thriving user bases. You will get inspired daily by just looking at how other people doing awesome work, building awesome data products with this two. Highly recommend. So whenever we optimize, why we optimize is a simple answer, right? Because what there's no perfect solution. What works now will no longer work in 3 months, is ever changing, is ever evolving. So we always need to have those growth mindset and always do retro and always optimize. For us, we use agile, we work per sprint. We usually have retro every 2 weeks to think about what we can do to optimize our workflow, what we can do to optimize our data model. And we as a team feel that's a really important feedback loop and how we be better and better as a data person. So for data stack optimization, the way I think about this is you need to think about what is the end goal you try to achieve for your team at the current phase. And by looking at the big picture there, it's kind of easy and obvious what are the area we can optimize, what are the lower hanging fruit we can optimization across our data stack. So for Maisonette, for our team, there are three big areas we try to achieve by our data stack, which is scalability, which means breaking those data silos, define source of truth, and really be cost effective, because that's going to be really important for your data stack to really be scalable. Imagine if my team double the size and if the business grow exponentially, you cannot let those data stack grow in the same way, in the same cost. That means it's not at that optimized. And also you want to ensure the great usability of your data stack. There's high velocity of data sharing, data usage, data insights. Everything is in the optimal speed. That's actually very important. Many teams got frustrated because those data is so slow, there's a latency, or they feel they cannot trust the data, things are not secure. So those are really important and getting more and more important for nowadays data team to meet the data business needs. Last but not least is the great business impact, because you never want other people to think about your team as a cost center. We want to be money generator, right? The number one thing is make sure people realize the data of your value and really use those data, which means great collaboration, massive data sharing, a lot of documentation to support self-service, and people need the data in the right way they need at the right moment. It means, optimized data refresh schedule, all the great stuff. So by looking at this desired outcome, makes our team very obvious identify those 4 areas are the problems for us, are the problems my team struggle, and we want to focus on optimizing our data stack on. I'm gonna get into details and talk with you more on, number 1, 2, and the last one, what we've been doing and what is our process. We won't talk too much about the collaboration part and the data documentation part, but something we tried and works really well there is, have office hour with your business stakeholders, constantly have those feedback loop for any data analysis or dashboard you delivered. There is a close, intense, and timely feedback loop. is so important to boost the collaboration and have a strategy how you want to share all the awesome works your team been doing. So let's dig into deeper to talk about the other three areas we identify. So whenever it comes down to business, try to find the cause and like the root cause for those problems. Most business like to use 5 whys, and I'm actually, a big believer for that. I feel that's a really effective way to identify the short-term action items and the long-term problem-solving solutions. So when we try to optimize our data stack performance, we ask 2 whys. What that we mean that is, in order to solve the high computing cost problem, we ask why we have high computing cost, what results those, what are the top 3 things result those, and for each item, why it's causing those. That's will give us a way to identify this further. So for high computing cost, by screening the usage, we identify 3 areas result the high computing cost. Number 1 is there's a lot of legacy dashboard is really inefficient. For example, we might have some dashboard with over 75 looker tires, which is take really long to compute everything. And also, many looks, they will include the total row. That's additional computing costs as well. So look into deeper that is means we need to define those looker dashboard within data team. So we always build optimal looker dashboard and also constantly optimize those legacy dashboard if they are still relevant and important for business. The second part of high computing costs is actually because of those data refresh. So originally our looker refresh or our DB2 refresh might be 15 minutes. And sometimes the DBT, like the 5-train connector refresh, is very intense too, which is unnecessary. Because if you think about this, the way we should refresh the data is, 1, do you really need that timely data for data sharing? I would imagine, yes, you want a live data. But most of the time, the judgment is, do you need that data to take action immediately? Most business, no. Most business might be daily basis. No business want the data refresh every 15 minutes because they cannot take action that quick for most of business nowadays. And the second component is align the refresh between 5-train and DBT. So sometimes is, for example, our DBT connectors, some data sources might refresh daily or refresh hourly, but our DBT schedule will refresh every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes. That's a waste of computing usage right there because no matter how you refresh DBT, there's no live data, there's no incremental data because the source 5-train is not refreshed as aggressive as DBT. So is the looker data model, so on and so. So what we learn here is you as a team, your team really need to align, have a unified, consolidate schedule across all your data stack. And really align that with business needs is number 1. Because sometimes for some data, your business just not need to then refresh that often. But some data is very important to keep it refreshed. The third area is the part, we kind of already touched on is those are not aligned, and really streamline those schedule across your data stacks. The second part is, when we identify the issue for our data stack is there's a lot of data quality issue. The business really want to find, we need to trust the data. We want to find the data is trustworthy, is accurate, is up all the time. So for those data quality issue, we do the similar things to ask 2 whys. Why there's data quality issue? Some part the data quality issue is because of the root, like the fundamental, the source of the data has issue. The worst thing is you don't want your business stakeholders come to you say, hey, I don't think that data is wrong. we want to be the team proactively to tell our stakeholders, don't use that dashboard for now. We are fixing those data. There's some delay or there's some bugs in the data. That's the right image, the right partnership and the authority you want your data team to be with. So what we've been doing is we integrate Snowflake, DBT, and also DBT to Slack. So whenever we have failure or alerts in those data stack, we get a Slack message. So our team can always be on top of those and alert our business users ahead of time. And most of the time, the data quality issue is because we don't have that many advanced data quality control. So DBT as a tool has they automate those unit testing, but most of our unit testing is very basic. For example, you track the data schema, you track the right data format, there's no non-value duplicates and so on. But as business scale, there is more complicated data quality issue you want to align, which means we want to embed business logic into those DBT unit testing. So we can cut those data quality upfront, even before all the data get refreshed, all the data get remodeled and surfaced to our stakeholders. The second part into here is how we scale the data observability. So for us, we are a small team and we've built everything from scratch. So now, luckily, my team is amazing. So it's very easy for us to identify the issue, where is the data model we need to fix. But the solution is not scalable, right? Because with a growing team, with more and more data, it can get harder and harder. We need to have a system or a way to monitor those data issue, to really observe those lineage across those data stack. So we know, if this data model run, it's from which table, what Looker dashboard is going to impact, what is the stakeholders we should alert to. So there's a many way. For example, you can buy Monte Carlo and use the tool to solve this problem. For us, we kind of solve the problem by semi-automate this. We use the package from DBT, called DBT artifacts. And we also import a lot of DBT metadata into Snowflake and build a Looker visualization to monitor those model lineage and how the impact to those Looker dashboards. And then most of time, not say most of time, but I would say 40% of the time, those data quality issue are not actual data quality issue. It is actually because of the team is growing with the new team members. They might change certain things in DBT, but not realizing what the underlying impact to other data models or to other, Looker reports. This is very common. It depends on, whether your team member is junior or more senior, because usually more senior people, they will look at the big picture and they'll work more thorough. With junior person, it's very often, they might focus on one part and change it, forgetting about the big picture to changing other part. But this, is an actual problem for us, is how we can make it easier for team members, how we can provide the actual visibility to them so they understand what they've been changing can impact other things. So what we use is a package from DBT called exposures. That's kind of a way to show you the lineage, how your change about data can potentially impact other things. We also use another tool called Spectacle, can cut those Looker errors on the fly to like another guardrail for you to understand, okay, am I impact other perspective and potentially cause those data problems for the end data consumers. The next part is about, how we optimize our Snowflake and DBT query speed. And so is the Looker speed. So here I will put, primarily talk about Snowflake and DBT query speed. For Looker query speed, there are so many best practices to optimize as well. So we've been already finished the Looker optimization part, and we on average improve the Looker query speed over 30% by following those best practice from Looker. So I specifically want to talk about more in terms of how to optimize Snowflake and dbt query speed, because sometimes even you optimize your Looker part, the underlying the data side refresh, if it's not optimized, it can still block the queue, make all your Looker very slow. What I mean that is, think about your end user. They try to do some looks. They have very complex looks. Underlying is actually repulling all those data from dbt and Snowflake to render the results for that look. So if your Snowflake and dbt setting is not optimal, that looks can take forever to load and it can block all other users when they try to access Looker most of the time. So for optimal, how we optimize Snowflake and dbt query speed, this is something we are still in testing and something I learned from the Snowflake Summit. People talk about there's multiple way you can optimize this. Number one, you can split your dbt model into multiple models and apply those filters early. That's usually the best practice. Or your team can try to use incremental materialization with merge incremental strategy. That usually works well with big data and really help on the speed side. And then if you use Snowflake as we do, you can address the virtual warehouse size using the dbt hooks. And I take screenshots from the Snowflake Summit on a lot of execution part. They recommend what is the optimal way to optimize the speed there. So for this part is, how we know what we've been doing is effective or no. Think about this. By the fundamental goal of optimization our data stack is we try to achieve those desired outcome, which means we try to make sure all our Snowflake usage is optimal, or our Fivetran and Looker usage is at the optimal speed, and also the best usage to support business. You want across your company to be really data driven. People are using data, people love data, and then there's multiple power user across each department to really love your data output. So as a data team, number one things is we be very honest with ourselves. We measure our progress, right? So if you really optimize your data stack, you will see results. What I might mean that is you will see real results from Snowflake usage. So we use those Snowflake block in Looker to monitor all the usage. And we also monitor those Looker usage and the speed. We have dashboard created to monitor all the query speed across the company. So we kind of aware and on top whether the looks take forever, how we're going to optimize those looks, and how we optimize certain Explorer if it took a long time for the business users to load. And then we also in the process of building a lot of dashboard to monitor the dbt and the Fivetran related progress, or the modeling refresh. So there is some good dbt package is really useful to optimize those too. Like there's Snowflake Spend and the dbt artifacts we mentioned previously. Those is a great way you monitor your data stack performance right there. Last but not least, the last session today, I want to share you all in terms of the strategy share out, because I feel most of the time for data team, we work so hard, to achieve results, to bring data value to the business. And it's even more difficult to organize our work so people know what we are doing, is visibility on the priority and all the good stuff. And the most of important stuff between data team and the business, make sure they realize our value is make sure they understand and really value our work. And that's really not easy. It depends on the scale of your team, who you support to. And for us is we are a small team, but we support the whole company, like all business pillars within Maisonette. So make sure everyone across business pillar has the visibility into the work in different business domain is super important. And that's gonna sparkle inspiration of how cross-functional each team can really work together. Because let's take a quick example. If we work on certain data model for return, it's not necessary just directly impact on operation team. Finance team need to know that so they can count the dime right. Merchandise team need to know that right so they can support the merchandising collection, how to optimize the site, how to do the vendor support with our brands. And also product team need to know that so we can optimize the platform, the site in a more optimal way. So by how to share your work is really important. And that's what I think about what data culture really about. You want to be a data-driven company. It's not necessarily mean you want everyone know SQL, everyone understand Snowflake or dbt. That's impossible. That's not a realistic expectation. But what really data culture about is you really make sure people, you inspire everyone. They know they are empowered to solve the problem with data. For me, that's a success for data culture. That's a success for data team. So whenever we do those strategy share out, when we try to share with people why it's important, we set aside time, we spend efforts to optimizing our data stack is I always make sure, the expectation is very transparent and make sure my team taking a progressive approach. Nothing will be perfect. Let's do step by step because even though you design a perfect solution, it might not work very quickly. So, and getting alignment, no surprise, is very important. The most important thing is time bound all the exercise and really measure the success. Like what we do, we monitor those usage across our data stack so we can really be honest on ourselves and be accountable on our data stack performance. So the last part is we dig into deeper about what I mean by those three buckets. Transportation is nowadays data is everywhere. We just can't, and we do not need to collect everything because collecting data is expensive. Cleaning those data is expensive. And the more data you have, the more problem you cause yourself. So really focus on what's the problem you try to solve and to really have a strategy built with a purpose, how you want to build up your data mesh, your data models, and always be partner with your stakeholders. So everyone are in a good community of using those data and to govern, make sure our data is governed in the right direction for the business needs. And then there is always, taking the progressive approach and to align with your business. What I feel is by aligning with your business partner is actually the fastest way to help you solve the problems. Most of the time it's not slowing you down, by doing those communication alignment is not slowing you down. It's actually make the feedback loop very effective. You actually solve the problem much faster as a team. That's what I learned, because many times it take hours or days to build one data model, one dashboard. It takes 2 minutes for people to forget about it and people don't use it. But if something is you aligned up front and everyone know the value of this project, you guarantee people will use it. You kind of make everyone is accountable for those decisions on those strategies and really define timeline, because timeline really help on prioritization and everything very transparency. You can only do what you can do, but with the timeline in mind, it really helped the team prioritize and pick and choose and keep everyone accountable, and also a great way for the team to communicate, to scope down or up the project. It depends on how far we want to go, because optimization your data stack can be a really intensive project. You can spend weeks or months by doing that, but is it really worth it? That's the part, define the timeline can really help and facilitate this kind of conversation. All right. So this is everything I want to share with you today in terms of, our journey on optimization, our data stack, as I said, is never end. You always on your journey to optimization. You always inspired by how other team using those data stack and keep improve your workflow. This is a QR code for my LinkedIn file. I love to connect with any data people in this space, and I hope you find this session helpful, and happy to connect with any one of you and discuss further. So happy everyone enjoy the rest of your Data Stack Summit. Thank you.